What's up, guys? I'm back with another video. In this video, I've kind of drank a little bit, but that's okay. In this video, I'm going to talk about some tips, right? Game for the people who believe in game. And I'm going to talk about a couple things that you should do with your hygiene that's going to improve your chances with women. So let's get down to it, right? I'll bring this mic a little bit closer here. As you age, you're going to start to realize that retention, for instance, because I always talk about retention. Seems like my mic is going to fall, so I'm going to adjust it here, guys. It's like kind of like leaning off this table. Hopefully it doesn't fall over, guys, but we'll get into it. With retention, you got to realize that most men aren't retaining. Most men aren't like retaining their seed. Most men are not being conservative of their life force energy, and most men are not going the distance, right, guys? Sorry, I'm doing all this weird Sorry, I try not to cuss. Here's the thing, guys. When you retain, it's not just about the testosterone. It's not about the discipline. It's not about really the women attraction in the end run, but like we're going to get into the superficial benefits in this video. So this is what a lot of guys like to hear and a lot of guys will want to hear. And how can they attract more women? How can they attract more dates? How can they attract more interactions with women? And why do women just generally feel more attracted to them when they're on retention, right, guys? Like this is the reasons behind it all, right? You got to look at it in a dynamic of testosterone and estrogen, right? When you are retaining, you're going to have more testosterone. You're going to have that bass in your voice. You're going to have that confidence. No matter what you're doing, like you could be doing something that you really don't know much about, but you just have like a confidence in doing it. Now, the confidence, especially if you're a long-term retainer, it becomes authentic. What you're doing, it becomes way more authentic, and you realize, okay, what I'm doing is authentic, and I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. I have a vast knowledge. Now, the only person who's really going to be able to interject what I'm doing is somebody who has similar knowledge or more knowledge than I, because there's always another level to the game, right, guys? Like there's always another level to understanding things. I feel like this mic is going to just fall off, so give me a second here, guys. I was definitely right. The mic was going to fall off. It was close. So look, guys, when you retain, you're sending out a signal. It's not just about the signal, guys. It's not about like everything that I bring up. It's not just singularly, you know. I'm sorry, I've had a couple shots, guys. So it's not just about the very thing that I'm talking about. It's a combination of things that are happening that allows you to attract more women into your life, guys. And a lot of guys, they get on semen retention because they want the women attraction. They want like these things to happen, you know, real time. They want women to be, you know, all over them. Like I don't disagree with that, guys. Like I think that's a beautiful thing. I always say beautiful, but yeah. You're gonna get what I'm talking about, guys. You have to have the whole thing. Like I've always talked about in my channel, it's not just about one of the things. It's about hygiene. It's about how you dress. It's about how you present yourself. And it's about the testosterone that's flowing through your body. The testosterone has pheromones to it, right? The higher testosterone, the more likely you're going to have. Sorry guys, there's something wrong with my mic. Like the actual grip on the mic is slipping off. So I'm going to get a little bit closer and I'll continue filming. All right, I'm back, guys. So like I was saying, it's a blend of all three. It's a blend of really just doing everything to better yourself and to become a better man, right? Taking the time to improve your hygiene, whatever the smell you want to go with. Stick to these same products. I've noticed when you use products for your hygiene, try to stick with similar smells. A lot of guys, they'll like use Irish Spring soap. I did when I was a teenager. I used Irish Spring, and that's all I used. And I used, I think, Old Spice for deodorant, right, guys? I occasionally use Calvin Klein cologne, right, guys? It was a gift from my uncle, so I'd spray that on after. I had a lot of success with women, of course, but that's 3 different types of smells, right, guys? That's not one smell. You want to have one smell, one identity in your smell, guys. Like, when you go around somebody, you want to have a certain smell. You want to have like, oh, I can remember that smell, right? I can remember what this person smells like. I can remember what they look like. I can remember their identity, right? You're creating your own identity when you look a certain way and you present yourself a certain way. So if you dress like how I talked about in the last videos, as a businessman, suit, tie, right? Maybe not tie, but just occasionally you'll have it unbuttoned, but usually you're dressing formal, right, guys? Now, if you're like more laid back, you're more chill, the hoodie, the sweatpants might be your style, right? Depending on what profession you have in life, guys, is going to be how you're going to dress, right? So say like majority of guys aren't suit and tie, but let's just say you're kicked back, you're laid back. Now, what's going to distinguish you from the rest of the men is the fact that you're going to smell different. You're going to have that lingering effect when you pass by somebody. Pass by particularly somebody that you're trying to attract. Sorry guys, I've had a couple shots, so just bear with me here. So if you're trying to attract women of a certain caliber, realize, what do these women like to smell? What kind of smells are they more attracted to? What I typically go with, guys, I like coconut oil. Coconut oil is all around good. Now, some women aren't attracted to coconut. They don't really like the smell of coconut. It's not really something that's like, it's kind of like a take it or leave. You can have stuff that's a little bit less aromatic. I don't know how to exactly say that word, but you can have stuff that's not as potent. Like, it's not going to spread through the room and everybody knows you have coconut on, right, guys? The idea is to, hold on, guys. This microphone keeps falling. All right, we're back. I fixed the problem. There was the rubber of the clamp was kind of like falling off, so that's the reason why it kept falling down. But anyways, guys, coconut oil, right? I like to use coconut oil because of the properties. I like to use it on my hair. I like to use it on mostly on my hair, but I use cocoa butter on my face. I made a video about the products that I use, guys. I use coconut oil for my lips. I have like a Burt's Bees that has coconut oil and pear in it. Guys, don't use coconut oil everywhere, but it works very effective depending on your skin type, depending on how much you can use. And it's just something that's going to have a lot of nutrients and properties in it, and the smell is not too much. It's not overwhelming. Now, if you want to smell really good, guys, if you want to smell really good, you want to be using a cologne. Now, I said I don't really use cologne, guys, but when you start to retain, here's the truth, guys. When you start to retain, you get to about that 14-day mark, right? Get to 14 days, you haven't watched content, you haven't released, or beyond, say you're at 30 days, you're going to start to smell like your juice, right? You're going to start to smell like semen, is what I'm trying to point, right, guys? I'm trying to get to the point here, guys. You're going to smell like that. You're building up your testosterone. Your testosterone is in the essence of your semen. The more semen that you carry, the more you're going to smell like it. It's going to smell out your pits. Like, it's going to come literally from your armpits. Like, you're going to smell it from your armpits. It's going to even come off your breath, right, guys? Like, it's going to come off your breath. You're going to smell it even just as you run or whatever. You're going to smell it down there, right, guys? You get the idea. Now, that might be TMI for the channel or whatever, but these are the truths behind it. And as you realize that it's your whole body is going to start to smell more like it. Now, the benefit of this, guys, is that you are going to smell less BO. You're not going to smell as bad. You're going to smell more like, your fluids, but you're not going to smell like that stinky smell. If you get what I'm saying, guys. Not trying to make this like hilarious or whatever, but I'm just trying to like point out the facts here, guys. Like, you're gonna smell good. Like, a lot of women are gonna actually think that you smell pretty decent, especially if you're taking care of your hygiene and you are putting on the right products, right? Coconut oil kind of masks that smell. Coconut oil helps with your hair. If you're brushing your teeth with a toothpaste that has coconut oil in it, it's going to reduce that smell of the odor that's coming from your mouth, right? That and carbon charcoal helps as well. You can get toothpastes that have both already combined together. There's one called Hello. I usually use that. It has the charcoal, it has the coconut oil. You use that when you brush your teeth, and you're going to have less of a smell as you speak to people. And you want to make sure you're flossing and also using some sort of mouthwash to prevent that odor. Now, your armpits, there's not much you can do about it, brother. Like, you're gonna have a certain type of smell. The longer you go on retention, a lot of guys don't bring this up in their channels, but like, I'm getting to the nitty gritty of it, right, guys? The longer you go on retention, you're gonna smell more like a man. You're gonna smell like semen, right, guys? Especially if you're transmuting the energy. If you're not transmuting the energy, it's gonna smell stagnant. It's gonna smell nasty. It might smell like infected, which is gross. You're gonna a lot of women are not gonna be attracted to that smell, right, guys? Like, you want it to smell fresh. Sounds kind of crazy, but I mean, this is the realities of it. I'm trying to tell you the truth, guys, and please don't, come at me in some sort of way. If you're moving, you're working out, you're outside, you're grounding, you're drinking plenty of water, you're not drinking too much alcohol, your supply is going to be fresher. You know what I mean? Your supply is going to be more fertile. You're going to have more vitality, which means you're going to attract more women. Right, guys? Now, your armpits, you can use a stronger deodorant that's going to mask that smell, but it's very strong that's going to come from your armpit. You can even shave your armpit hair. That's going to help a little bit, guys. But I mean, I would say if you're a man, you shouldn't really be shaving your armpit hairs. Like it's kind of like, I think a lot of guys do that nowadays, but no, yeah, don't shave your armpit hairs. Like, I think it's okay to shave down there, but don't shave like your armpit hairs, right, guys? I think that's just natural for a guy to have armpit hair, right, guys? Anyways, now I think I've touched on most of the topics on hygiene, right, guys? Whatever smell you feel like goes well, the cologne isn't going to mask the smell. Like, you will notice these smells as you get further in your journeys, and the more you're doing outside activities, the more you're working out, the more you're running, the more you're doing activities where you're grounding and you're out in the sun and you're just running around, you're playing basketball, whatever you're doing, guys, like, it's going to magnify that odor. That odor is going to travel through the air. Your pheromones are going to travel through the air. The longer you're retaining, the more likely women are going to pick up on these pheromones or the whiff of your smell, and they're going to be attracted to you. They're going to know where you are subconsciously. Now, they're not going to know exactly where you are, but they're going to know kind of where you are, right? Because your odor is like much more potent. Now, the downsides to this, guys, because there's always a benefit there's a downside to things, right, guys? Is that men are going to pick up on this odor as well. And when men smell this, they're going to look at you and be like, why are you around here? You know, you smell so manly that it's making me be conscious of my woman. My woman is going to be attracted to you if she comes outside, because your pheromones are stronger than mine in the very moment, right? A lot of men get self-conscious. Other men admire, and they know what you're doing. They don't really care. They're pretty secure in their relationships, and they don't really care that you're doing what you're doing, right? You're I like to think of it as a woman, right? It's going to be kind of confusing to a lot of guys, but I like to think of it as a woman. Like, she's a bud, and then she begins to flower, and there's a certain fragrance that emits from this flower, and a lot of men will pick up on that smell, and now they're all attracted to her because she is fertile and she's ready to have children, right? Same thing for a man. Like, if you're retaining your semen and you're doing the right practice, you're not just retaining and sitting at home and letting it become stagnant. Like, you're actually going out and you're doing things, or you're exercising, you're getting enough sunlight and you're getting enough energy to supply the transmutation of your semen into actual ojas, right, guys? Like, this is what you're trying to do, right? You can't just be retaining and watching TV. You have to be outside, grounding, push-ups, sit-ups, running, breathing fresh air, doing things, you know, putting it into a creative outlet, whether that be drawing or reading books or something, right, guys? Staying away from just a lot of media or social medias to begin with, right? Like, if you look at our past generations, those people, they were, you know, philosophers and stuff, that Einstein's, let's get technical with it, right? Those guys didn't really have television or entertainment, right? They just had books, they had stargazing, they had stuff like that, right, guys? They had things that they had to comprehend. Where do they get a lot of this information? Where do they get a lot of this knowledge from? From previous lifetimes of other people kicking knowledge to them, right, guys? Philosophers like Plato, right? We get philosophers and we get Greek gods and stuff like that. I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it, but let's, Socrates and stuff, right, guys? Like we get these individuals who retained, but no one really knew that they retained because they didn't really let it know that they were retaining. And that's like a big secret that history has never really, put in the books, is that men were retaining back then, and how they achieved their physiques and they achieved this stature in life, right? And status was because they were mostly retaining, gladiators and whatnot. Anyways, guys, I don't want to get too deep into all that. I just want to be honest with, with the amount of energy that you're putting out. You have a lot of energy. You don't realize how much energy there is when you start to retain in a man's semen. You become like a conqueror. You become like the energy involved. Like when you're releasing, you're pretty depleted, but you already have a lot of energy. When you start to retain, you have enough energy to power like your entire city. That's how much energy is like emitting from your body, right? You have enough energy to literally power an entire city or more, just because you're retaining. Now, a lot of guys do retain, but it depends on how long you go. Like, if you're just going a couple days, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. I would have to say, no matter how long you go, it's good. But if you're going to where you're starting to smell the semen, you're on another rank, right, guys? 14 days, 30 days is when you start to smell it. Your testosterone is being regulated by your androgen receptors. You're starting to get like a more of a steady flow of testosterone that's flowing through your body. You're actually emitting like pheromones consistently out of your body into the atmosphere. That's like telling that like all the women around you that you're ready to go. Technically, right, guys? You're ready to get busy. But I'm just saying, right, guys, for the guys who aren't really like in that stage, right, you got to be on different stages. In the beginning, you're going to be like that. That can be your downfall. But you have to understand your downfall is a part of your journey in yourself. If you're meant to release or whatnot, that's going to happen. Like either it be with a woman or by yourself, like that's going to happen. Like the energy's so high that it has to be brought back down in some sort of way, right, guys? Don't look at it in a way where you're going to just become like this person who's super, super strong and whatnot. A lot of fighters retain, right, guys? A lot of boxers will go without. Abstinence is what they say, right? They go without. They don't sleep with their woman right prior to the fight. They do about 6 months without releasing. They go into fight. They fight. They win the fight. They call it like a rooster, right? Like a rooster. They call it, you know what roosters are called, right? They call it rooster strong. I won't say that word on YouTube, but yeah, that's what they say, right? That is what it is, right? You're not drinking, you're not smoking, you're training, you're running, you're exercising consistently, and then you're also hitting the bag and you're getting prepared for a fight that you're going to have to beat your opponent. And most of the time, I mean, it depends, right? Like there's some guys who can smoke and drink and whatnot and still beat their opponent who has been retaining for a certain amount of time. A lot of guys, they say, oh, well, this guy retained and this guy didn't. He still lost even though he had retained. Why is that? Different levels to the game, guys. Some guys are just more skilled. It doesn't matter how long you had retained. Some guys just know how to knock you out. You know what I mean? It does. That's just what it is. Like some guys just got that movement. They got that that fluid movement. They know what they're doing. They've been doing it longer, or maybe they haven't been doing it longer. They're just naturally talented in that field, right, guys? So I don't really talk about too much on fighting, right, guys? But that's just what it is. You know what I mean? You have to accept some things, and that's just what it's going to be, and you can't really change that fact of the matter, right, guys? When you start to retain, though, you will see certain things that you can't see when you are not retaining, guys, and that's the biggest benefit of all of them. The superficial benefits is what I mostly talked on here, guys. You're not going to smell as much, so when you use your products or whatnot, guys, you're really trying to mask the smell of your pheromones, which are like protruding off your body. But those smells are just, it doesn't really do much, right? Women are still going to be naturally attracted to you because you're more masculine. Now, what also happens superficially is you're going to get stronger, you're going to get faster. If you're not drinking on top of that, right, guys, drinking mostly, right, and smoking, because smoking is a part of your lungs, and you need your lungs for the endurance and stuff like that, right, guys? You're not smoking, you're not drinking, and you're retaining, man, your energy is just gonna be flowing outward. But it really depends on the time, guys. Like, let's get down to the reality of it, really, guys. It depends on the time. If it's not your time to be with a woman, it doesn't matter if you're retaining. It doesn't matter if you're not drinking. It doesn't matter if you're not smoking. If you're not meant to be with a woman in your life, you're just not. That's what it is. Accept it. There's something that you need to do. You have to get right with God. You have to get right with yourself, which is getting right with God in itself. You have to go within first. So when you retain, you'll see that. You'll get to a spiritual connection that's going to allow you to see what you need to be doing. It doesn't have anything to do with like being with women or whatever, guys. Superficial benefits, they disappear eventually, right? That becomes the normal. And the normal is retention. But retention to a point where you get with a woman, unless you're going to become a monk. A lot of men are not going to become monks, right, guys? Let's be honest here. Most men are not going to become monks. I know I try to like get real serious with you guys, but most men don't want to become monks. They're not going to become monks. Like, they're not, like, that's just not their path, right? If you were meant to be a monk, if you were really meant to be a monk, I feel like you would have kind of known it earlier on in your life. You would have known it, I feel like, a couple times into releasing. You'd be like, no, this doesn't feel right. You're already spiritually very awoke if you're going to become a monk. Like an authentic monk, not just a monk that's like forcing himself into not releasing, right? You don't want to force yourself into anything. Like a monk who's really serious about his journey and becoming a like full-fledged like master monk, right? Like somebody who's really like, you know, celibate for 50 years or something, right? Most guys are not thinking about being celibate for 50 years, right, guys? Like, let's be honest here. That's somebody who's serious about their journey, right? That's what they do. They're there at the temple, around other men. They take their practices serious. They take their religion very serious, right? That's a whole nother aspect, right? Most men are not going to go that far with it. And so when you retain, you understand that retention is really just kind of like a period of when you're going to be retaining and when you're not. Like, you're going to retain for a certain amount of time. Your energy is going to get to a certain level. You're going to find a woman, and you're going to kind of balance each other out, right? That's the goal, right, guys? If you don't have no sexual discipline in life, you're going to be just going out, finding whoever, releasing, and that's your life, you know? Most guys stay in that loop. They stay in that loop of, I'm with this woman, I release, that's that. You know, she's on her cycle, but I still want to, like, sleep with her even though, like, she's bleeding. Sorry, guys. Sorry, women. Don't need to, like, put that much information out. But I'm just saying, right, guys? Like, you still want to do that, right? Because you don't have no control. She has more control than you. She's more intuitive than you. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she still wants to do it, even though you didn't want to do it. Having control is the goal here, guys. It's not about semen retention. It's really just about controlling your life force energy, man and woman, right? Knowing that women can lose their life force energy. Men can lose their life force energy, right? Men can be weakened through releasing. Women can lose their vitality through releasing or orgasming too much, burn out their dopamine receptors. Men, we burn out our dopamine receptors probably a little bit less, but we do burn out our dopamine receptors every time we release. That's why it's called orgasm. What is at the end of orgasm? Spasm, right? You're spazzing your system. You're spazzing your nervous system. You don't want to spaz it too much. Doing it too much means you've burnt out your dopamine receptors and your serotonin, right? And now it's going to take you some time to recuperate. Now our body is pretty regenerative. We can come back from most of these things, right, guys? But the goal is to understand how much you're losing, right? How much are you losing? Are you doing it just for pleasure? You know, you're with your woman, you're just releasing. Now you guys are both in depleted states, and it's going to take you a bit more to recuperate. Now, it will recuperate a bit faster, right? Because if you're with a woman, like, it's more natural than by yourself. Even with women that release or orgasm by themselves, right, guys? Because I know I say release, but when they orgasm by themselves, they lose energy, but they don't lose it as fast as we do, because we're losing actual fluids, right, guys? I don't need to get into too much of this. I think that, like, really just asking questions is the idea, right, guys? Like, if you leave a comment down below and just ask me why do men lose energy faster than women and whatnot, I can get into, like, a deeper explanation on the reasons why, and I can even go into detail on the reasons why the pheromones on men are stronger than women. Technically, like, with women, their pheromones are strong, but it's more of a subtle smell, I believe. It's not a smell, like, it's not a smell, guys. It's just something that we subconsciously understand. Why is it like that? Is because they're just looking for, I'll give you this one, guys. It's because they're looking for one person. They're looking for one mate. They're looking for one man. They're looking for the strongest seed to impregnate them, to be impregnated by the strongest, most genetically capable seed, right? The one that matches the best with their seed, or with their egg. So if she's been celibate for a certain time and she has eggs, and you've been celibate basically too, you should be, you want to be on the same kind of like energetic field, right, guys? If you're in that same category, you're going to come closer. And then if it's a match, it's likely that you're going to have a kid together, right, guys? That's the main goal, is like either have a kid or use that energy and create more. Or you guys can transmute the energy and have like tantric, in which is like tantric. I'll get more into it in another video, because tantric doesn't technically work. It does, but it doesn't. You're still losing a lot of energy. The goal is to have as much ojas as possible. And why do we want ojas? We want to look young. We want to look fertile. We want to look good through our elderly age, right? We want to be 70 years old, 60 years old, and still look like we're 30. Still look like we're 40, right? When we're 80. That's the goal, right, guys? That's majority of the goal of guys who retain for longer periods of time, is that you want to look young for the majority of your life. All right? That's like the main goal of retention. If you lose ojas, you're going to look old. That's just what it is, guys. If you're like really serious about the journey, and I'm not saying like any of you guys, I'm just saying, like, if you're really serious about like just retaining and just conserving as much as you can with your ojas, understand that you can live to 200 years, right? You can live 200 years old. Maybe even 300. I don't know, maybe 300 years old, right? I would say 300 is a bit far-fetched, but I would say 200, you could do it. You could do it. But conditions have to be right. Conditions have to be right. We already have people who live 126 years old. Like, that's the oldest living person. Maybe there's somebody who's lived older. That's not very far away from 200 years old, right, guys? Now, obviously, if you want to live to 200 years old, you have to have everything just right. The water you drink, the air you breathe, the food that you eat, fasting a certain amount of days, not releasing any of your energy. And I know this video kind of like went so left, and it's not really about living the longest life, guys. It's not about any of that, guys. It's really just about hygiene and conserving your energy, right? Energy, right, guys? Sorry. Anyways, guys, have a blessed day. Enjoy your days. Like and subscribe, comment. I know I've had a couple drinks, and I enjoy myself occasionally, and I enjoy having a little bit to drink every now and then. I feel like that helps with the journey in itself, understanding that you're not going to always be without drink. Because if you're without drink, and especially if you're later in the journey, there's sometimes your testosterone gets really high, and you kind of just want to lower it down, guys. Like, you don't want that much energy. Like I said, it's a lot of energy. If you can power a whole city, just imagine. You get what I'm saying, guys? Like, you don't want to have too much energy to where you're like, I don't know what to do with it. I can't just sit here and read books and go for 10-mile runs and stuff, right, guys? Like, you gotta substitute something to relax yourself a little bit, right, guys? Anyways, peace out. Enjoy your days. Subscribe. Peace.